So every one of you has taken at least one exam that's impacted the course of your life. And we asked 65 high school students about their life-changing exam, and they told us that the SATs, they make them feel nervous and anxious and tired and stupid and like crap. And it's no wonder. The primary tool that they have to study for it is this. Let's talk about how Testive can make this better. So first I need a 16-year-old high school student. Do we have any high school students in here? I'm looking for someone who's, what grade? 9, a little young. I mean, I'm looking for someone who, you took the SAT? Yeah. All right, come on up. So I'm going to hand you a microphone here. I'm going to do something a little tough, which is I'm going to actually have you do some math on stage in front of people, which is kind of a dick move, I know. So my apologies. What's your name?
Kaizen.
Kaizen. Right.
Kaizen.
Excellent. And you're 9th grade and you just took the SAT?
Yeah.
Have you gotten your scores back yet?
Yes.
What'd you do?
Oh my God. 700.
Very, very well. Nice. Well, I want to talk about how prep with Testive is different. So why don't you step over here. And unlike regular prep, where you're going to start by either buying a giant book or purchasing, an enormous class, Testive starts with a set of really simple, easy commitments. So Kaizen, I'm assuming you have a pretty busy day, your usual day. We have a pretty busy day here. Why don't you start with a commitment of 3 questions a day?
All right. All right.
Go for it.
Okay. So
how you feeling right about now?
Slightly overwhelmed. I have to read this now.
So that's a pretty common feeling when doing the SAT. Let me help you out here. The answer is -13 to this one.
All right, then.
So it's hard work to work on the SAT. And one of the things that Testive does is right here, when you hit this next button, a little bit of magic's going to happen. So go ahead and hit it. And now the next question is picked adaptively for the student. And as you work through Testive, guys, then each question that you get is going to be adaptively selected to be right at the edge of your difficulty level. So you're just getting questions that are just right. Answer on this one's A, B.
All right.
You're doing great. But let's say, now we're on to geometry. Maybe this isn't as strong a subject. Why don't you go ahead and get this wrong? Do 45. It's sort of a common mistake. And
oh, no.
we have there as our learning drawer pops out. And here we have right now one video to be added with more content, a set of interventions to help you out as you get each question wrong, either specifically on the video. Do you ever watch videos for learning at all as part of your education?
Occasionally.
Cool. You willing to spend 3 minutes to learn how to get a problem right?
That doesn't sound too bad.
Okay, cool. So let's say you watched it, you got it right, and now you know the answer is 108.
Okay. Yeah.
So go ahead and go on. And now we're going to have you connect with Facebook. This is Tom's account, so you can connect here.
All right.
And here's one of the interesting things that happens with Testive, which is after you do your commitment, we kick you out. Guys, then, thank you. I have to kick you out. Everyone. So this is a really important part of what we do at Testive, is use the energy and momentum that students have, really motivated students like Kaizen, who want to do more questions, to take that energy and channel it into really good skills, like making a habit out of studying. The students that we've seen who do better are the students who come back every day and put in a little bit of time every day. So our system will lock you out to take that momentum and have you bring it back the next day to generate good habits. That's why we call this product SAT Habit. So we've learned some really important things here along the way, as with everyone. First thing we learned. Scores suck. Nobody likes getting scored. And tests are an excuse in getting scored and graded all the time. So what we did is we turned scoring into mastery. You could see it on the bar as Kaizen was answering, the level of awesomeness. And what we do is we reward students as you move through the products with achievement. Because achievement is something they can't take away from you. And achievement makes you feel good. The other thing we learned, teachers are not good proxies for students. They have a lot of other issues that they need to deal with. One thing we consistently hear from teachers is they want more instructions. We've seen the product. Students don't read those instructions. We took them out. No one said anything yet. And right now, obviously, we are starting with the SAT. SAT Habit is our first consumer product. But the technology and the adaptivity behind it works for any multiple choice test, and we are not worried about running out of those.
All right, let's hear it for Testive. And that wasn't you didn't plant the student, right? That wasn't a plant.
No, that was not a plant. We actually had a planted student, and he left midway through the day. So thank you.
So, judges, what do you think? Testive.
There's a essay section on the SAT as well. How do you help students?
So the essay section is about the writing section is 1/3 of the test, and the essay is 1/3 of that. Right now, our product just focuses on the multiple choice test, which is 5/6 of your grade on the test.
Where do you guys get all the content from?
So this content for the SAT we licensed. One of the nice things about the test prep space is there is actually a ton of content available and produced. So there are a lot of test prep companies. A lot of them have curriculums, and you can buy sets of questions reasonably easily.
Who's your competition online right now? Surely there might be other people doing SAT prep online.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the great things about this market is that it's a developed market that people pay for already. That means is there's already people in it. I think the bigger competition that we have is from books, which are very, very low cost, and the declining cost of private tutors as well. So as contents become freely available, you've seen teachers available at lower and lower price points, and I actually think of that as our primary set of competition.
And why is the price going down for tutors again, exactly?
So, I mean, when Stanley Kaplan started test prep, you literally didn't know what was on the test. And so he would have students, you'd actually have a barbecue after every SAT test, and you couldn't get a hot dog until you'd given him 2 questions that you memorized from the test that you took earlier in the day. And that's how he created the first test bank. But now that the College Board publishes a test bank, it's much easier to create questions that look and feel like the test. And so the cost of that content has dropped really dramatically. And it's opened it up to people who aren't large test prep companies to get in.
Are you guys making money now?
Yes. So we actually sell white label products. So actually, Kaplan Test Prep buys the engine that powers part of this as well as a white label product for some of their adaptive tests.
How did you get that deal?
I'm never sure how to answer that question. We provided them a service that was a need for them to do a really rapid assessment of what your SAT score was going to be.
Since you have like such a short engagement time, did you think about doing like mobile first instead, or is that something you guys are looking at?
I don't know, Kaizen, you got 5 minutes at the bus stop. Would you rather do SAT prep or Angry Birds? Yeah, so what we heard from our students was that it's a really hard competition to make, and that when they're in study mode, they're in study mode, but capturing those snackable times is actually tough.
How accurate is the adaptive nature of the engine? How quickly does it get to the right level for a student?
So I found sort of anecdotally in about 5 questions, you are pretty much at the edge of your ability level per section. And when we've tested it with diagnostic tests, we can accurately predict each section score in about 15 questions. So I can predict your SAT math score in about 15 questions. It takes about half an hour to do.
So if I'm doing 3 questions a day, it takes me 4 or 5 days for you to get approved.
Yep. Find usually most people hit 6, I think because it's the middle button.
So you mentioned, being in a study mode, but the product's kind of counterintuitive to that because it locks you out.
Yep.
Like how did you make that decision, and how does that work, and does the lockout time change over time?
So one of the things we have over 10,000 hours of classroom experience, and we really consistently saw the change in students' scores came when they made the commitment to do a little bit each day and to engage a little bit each day. So we are admittedly spending some of our momentum, spending some of that power of time you want to have with the product to try and get people to be coming back day after day, because that's what we've seen increase scores.
Of your market, who is this product not for?
Who is this product not for? So there's obviously going to be a segment of people with a lot of disposable income who will probably opt for private tutors, like really high-end tutors, that we will probably not compete with. And then there's a group of people who don't take the SAT, who take the ACT right now. So this is not a particularly good product for them at the moment.
And of the people who your product is for, who would you disrupt in this industry?
Who we disrupt in this industry?
So the books are costing not a lot, right?
Yep.
So my book's $20. I go to a store, or I'm using Kaplan and I'm paying $700-800 for each sort of session that I take, and those are my options. What else would I be paying for if your product didn't exist, and how do you get those folks?
So we expect that some people will be trading up from the books to this, and some people potentially will be coming out from the client, and we exist in sort of that price. We will exist in that price point in the middle.
All right, and what's your thought on how you get them? Is it marketing? Is it advertising?
Yeah, so our partnerships are through sort of the core. We expect to be through the core influencers in the college process. So we have a partnership with Teen Life, for instance, which is a network of independent college advisors, and are also doing reach out to guidance counselors.
Great.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Testive. Well done.